Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for our live training. Today we're going to be talking about how to get your account set up for receiving and distributing those first payments with Rentec Direct. This training is for those of you who have already completed your applications for CSG Forte and have had that application approval letter from Forte, as well as the congratulatory setup letter from us here at Rentec Direct. My name is Shay. I've been here at Rentec Direct for 4 years. I handle these trainings as well as work in client experience to ensure that everyone has a good start to their Rentec Direct account. Today in this training, we're actually going to talk about the approval as well as go through our step-by-step settings. So first of all, you should have gone to settings. You should have filled out the application for Forte. You should have received a Forte confirmation. That would have been the first step in that application. They will then approve you, and once you've been approved, we will have that information and we'll get your account set up on our side. So you will get the account congratulatory letter from us here at Rentec. So we're going to also talk about what types of payments Forte offers. We'll talk about the ACH, so that's incoming and that's outgoing, as well as the debit credit card payments. So setting up your merchant account, like I said, is a two-step process. It is going to be application and approval. So before this training, you should have had received those application approval letters from Rentec and from Forte. Again, to complete this, go ahead and go to settings, go to your online payment settings and submit those applications. When your merchant account has been enabled, it's important to configure the default settings in the for your specific business needs before you are accepting those payments or sending those payments. So our training guide is going to walk you through each of those settings and help you to understand why these configurations are important to consider. And like I said, the payment types we're talking about today are just going to be isolated to the CSG Forte merchant account payment types. That would be ACH payments, that's incoming and outgoing. So you can pay out your vendors and owners from this ACH account. We're also going to talk about your credit card payments and your debit card payments. I want to give you an example of the congratulatory letter that you're going to get from us here at Rentec Direct. This is just going to let you know that your account is enabled and you're able to go ahead and begin using those tools. So it'll confirm with you the bank account that it's going to be deposited into, and then it's going to give you a series of helpful articles for you to go through as well. So along with this training, you're going to get those helpful articles to look at as well. So we will talk about those, activating those online payment options. And we're going to take you through some basic account settings. In the live demo of the software, we will talk about banking settings, tenants, owners, and vendors. Each of these will have different configurations that you'll need to make sure are set up in order for those payments to run smoothly. So we will go ahead now and we will log into our Rentec Direct software. So the first thing that we're going to do here from the summary page of our software is we're going to go ahead and navigate to the settings page. Here on the left side menu, we've got our settings. And once we've opened our settings, we're going to choose online payments. That's going to be under this financial subheading. So we're going to choose online payments here. This is where you went to fill out your merchant services application. Now that your application is completed, you've been approved, we've set you up on our side, this entire page is going to change. So you'll see now that you have different options here. The top portion of this has been filled out for you with information pertaining to your merchant account, like your merchant ID number. You're also going to see some different defining merchant processing costs. So these are actually defined by the merchant. So the merchant has set these costs to you and they can be passed on to the tenant. So the credit card processing fee is 2.95%. There may be some additional costs that you would see associated with this merchant services account, like chargebacks for NSF, um, Forte Verify, and then if you have additional merchant services accounts, you'll see that you do have an extra charge for the merchant service account. It's $15 per month per account. Some people do end up having additional merchant accounts just depending on how their accounting is. So if you need something like that, just let us know and we'll help you out. Another thing that you could be potentially charged for, which is stated in your terms of service, is the early termination. So just make sure that you're aware of the early termination cost as well. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on down to our processing settings. And under the processing settings section, you're going to want to make sure that all of these settings are set correctly. First thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and enter an email address where you'd like for us to send payment notifications. So this can be your email address or anyone you wish to designate here. If this is left to blank or switched to no, you're actually not going to receive any notifications such as payment failures due to non-sufficient funds. So if this is set to no, if this is blank, you will not get any payment failure notifications. You're also going to want to take a look at this convenience fee question here. You can roll over that tooltip as well just to get some additional information, but charged convenience fees should not be automatically applied to a property as income, especially if you are a property manager. You will need to retain these fees. So make sure that you set this to no, as you do not wish for those fees to show up on the property ledger. The reason being is because this isn't an income. These fees are coming from the tenant to recover or recuperate those credit card processing fees. So if you were to apply this to the property as an income, that actually could potentially make a problem, because you would then be paying out that fee to your owner, and then you would also be paying out that fee to your merchant services account. So you would be doubling that fee going out instead of retaining that fee to make sure that you're making up for those costs. So here you'll see that the tenant fee for income category is set by the system. By default, it is set to 4,000 rental income. If you prefer a different category here, all you'll need to do is create one in your system settings under income and expense. So if there was a different income here that you're using for any reason, you would choose that income or create a new category under income and expense categories under settings. And then you're going to go ahead and choose the tenant default payment policy. So you will have a couple of different options here. The payment policy will apply to the tenant when they pay online. If the tenant's already in the software, this can be configured under their online payments option from the tenant menu. But if they are not already in the software, this would be a universal setting. So anyone that you had after you've changed this setting, they will automatically follow that rule that you've set in there. But there are some nuances based on the payment date that you've entered, in relation to due date, and you can override that, like I said, at a per tenant basis. Just let us know if you need help with that. That is something that you'll do when you move in tenants. So again, this tooltip, you can roll over this. You'll actually see what the differences are between the options under this drop-down menu. So you have allow any, which allows payments of any amount. Tenant can go in there and they could pay $1 if they wanted to, even if their balance is 500. Require rent means that the tenant will have to pay at least an amount equal to or greater than the rent that they owe currently. Require balance means that they will have to create a one-time transaction of the amount of their balance, either equal to or greater than the amount of their current balance. So that could be rent plus additional fees like late fees or maybe other utility fees or whatever you've added to the tenant. So it is important just to make sure that this is established based on what your contract says. We're going to move on down here to our credit card settings. So if you applied for credit card processing, but you're not ready to accept rents, you can set this to no, and you can choose to disable it. But if you're ready to allow credit card processing for application fees, Setting it to no is not going to make a difference. You will still be able to acquire those application fees or accept those application fees from prospective tenants online who are applying. You just won't allow for your tenants to pay rent by card. And like we talked about, when processing your credit card or debit card transactions, you're going to be charged a processing fee. That comes from the card processor, CSG Forte, and that can be passed on to the client, the tenant. You'll just want to make sure that you put your convenience fee percentage here in this box. So whatever you wish to charge your tenant at the time they make their payment to recover your costs is what you'll put in here. So the tenant will be asked to pay for the convenience fee along with their rent. If you set this to 0, that means that you're paying the processing fee on behalf of your tenant. That's commonly not typical, and we don't recommend it, but you will be able to set it to whatever you'd like to here. Once you've configured your credit card acceptance, you'll know that fees may need to be higher. American Express, if you click on American Express, you want to accept that, it does let you know that the transaction fee for this one is 3.5%. So you will want to make sure that you set it high enough that if you are using a American Express card, you're recuperating those fees as well. And we'll head on down to our ACH settings. Under ACH settings, the payments are automatically enabled, but you can turn off the ability to accept the ACH payments from tenants and owners at any time. Um, but if you do this, just be aware that they will not be able to pay online if this setting is set to no. Okay, so make sure that this setting is set to yes if you want those tenants and those owners to make those payments online. We do offer Forte Verify, so in compliance with ACH processing regulations, the software is designed to interface with Forte Verify to validate ACH payment information. So when it's entered into the system directly or through a tenant portal, this third-party verification system will verify that it is a good account, it is a usable account, it's not a closed account or a account that is associated with a high risk list or anything like that. If you do set this to no, though, you do have to perform that validation of the bank accounts for your tenants' data, your owners, your vendors, whoever, on your own. And when you set this to no, you actually get a pop-up that says, we do require that you give us a written confirmation that you have an alternate means of verifying these account numbers. This Forte Verify is a 50-cent charge. So anytime that you have a new account added to the system, it will charge 50 cents for the verification fee. However, ACH from the tenant to you is free. You're not charged for any of those incoming ACH transactions, but you do have the ability to set a fee and charge tenants for ACH transactions here if you wish. This can also be set on a per tenant basis in the tenant menu under online payment settings. You set a fee, just remember to disclose that within your renter ACH authorization form. And speaking of that authorization form, you'll get into it right down here. You have two options for tenant authorization forms and payment. So the options are through the tenant portal. If your tenant is going to be setting up payment on their own terms, that would be going through the tenant portal. You can set your authorization to be enabled through the tenant portal. If it is enabled through the tenant portal, the tenant will be agreeing to this information here. It says, by providing this information, I certify that I am an authorized signer on this account. If you want to make changes to this, you're welcome to do that. If at any time you want to reset the text back to its original text here, you can do that as well. So when you choose Tenant Portal, it allows your tenant to enter their bank information themselves and schedule their own online payments through their Tenant Portal, and they'll just be presented with this message. So written documentation will require that you enter the tenant's bank information. So that bank information will go under the tenant menu in online payments. With this option, you'll want to go ahead and create a tenant authorization form that you can upload. This form will be available to your tenants on the tenant portal. They can download it, sign it, and return that authorization to you. We do offer you this sample authorization form. You're welcome to use this as well. So you can go ahead and download the Word document, and this is something that you can edit and make changes to. So this can be edited, this can be emailed to your tenants, and then tenants can print it and bring it back to you. So now that we've completed that, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we save our changes here, and we're going to move on to the next step. So after we've saved our changes, our next step is going to be our vendors and payees. So here under settings, we just want to make sure that we configure our vendor list because Rentec Direct does allow for you to make payments directly out to vendors. You just need a routing and account number for those vendors. So go ahead and click on your vendors list here under settings, and we're going to open the vendors menu and edit our vendor. If we have a full list of vendors, we'll go ahead and edit all of them. If we need to add vendors at this point, we'll go ahead and add vendors. It is important that you put in a company name, a contact information, and we're going to just put some other information in here. A category is going to help you determine how to bill out this vendor. This is going to be a repairs. Their address is here. We're going to make sure that they have a work phone number. And we're going to make sure that they have a routing and account number. So this is a very simple process. Forte is going to verify that this account is good. And we're going to go ahead and add this vendor. For purposes of this, I'm just going to say that I don't want to verify the account because this is not a real account. So we'll add that vendor. Now that we've added them, you'll see that they have an ACH option available. And when you go to invoice a vendor from your properties or your accounts, when you select ACH as a payment method, this is actually going to go to your vendor electronically. So that's all you have to do for those vendors. So once you're ready to send out those invoices, you'll just go ahead and you'll put in that information, choose ACH, and it will automatically send to your vendor. So the next thing that we're going to go ahead and handle, since we're going to still be in settings, is we're going to go ahead and set up our owner setup. So for those of you who are property managers handling units for owners other than yourselves, this will be an important key step because if you plan or are anticipating that owners will want to pay their contributions online, you will need to set up a category for this. And that's what we're going to go ahead and do now. So under settings, we're going to go back to this financial subheading. We're going to choose income and expense categories. So income and expense categories is going to allow for us to add a category. And the category that we're going to add today is called owner contribution. An owner contribution is going to be an other type because it doesn't influence our income or our expense. Really, it's just a contribution so that your owner's property can get back to that zero status. So if there was a large repair that came in or a maintenance issue that came in and your owner owes more than what they make in rent and they have to make up for that, this is when they'll use that owner contribution option. You can roll over these tooltips. You can see what the type is. So income would be something like application fees, rental income, HOA dues. Expense would be something as simple as repairs, landscaping, management fees. But like I said, other is going to be categories that do not influence our income and expense, such as balance transfers, which is what this contribution is going to be. We're going to go ahead and leave our class as standard because it's not classified as a security deposit, a management fee, or an owner disbursement. So it will be standard. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and allow for my reference number to auto number. The reference number here just helps order your categories on various reports. So if you have used QuickBooks or similar accounting software in the past and you have a reference number for this owner contribution in your chart of accounts, you can use that number that you're familiar with. But like I said, I am going to go ahead and let it auto number. So we're going to save this. And as you set up categories for your owner contributions, you should just take note that it may influence your Schedule E tax form, so you will have questions for your accountant. Definitely speak with your accountant. Make sure that you've set this all up accurately. So we've saved our page. Our category is now here, and you're going to see that category ready for use. And now that that's set up, we're just going to go ahead and alter our accounting defaults to put this category to use. When you first set up your account, accounting defaults was an important step because this is where you set up your grace period and your late fees. It has all these accounting income and expense categories here just so that when you do pull those reports, they're all going to be categorized correctly. And the one that we're going to focus on today is this default owner contribution category at the bottom. At this point, it's uncategorized. So we're actually going to need to go ahead and choose our owner contribution category. And we're going to go ahead and save that. So every time you make a change, make sure that you save the changes so that your work doesn't go, it doesn't go unnoticed here in the software. So now that we've done that, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take a moment to show you how we're going to set up the owners. So you're going to go ahead and click on your owners page here, and our owners are listed here. We're going to click on the edit option. So under the owner menu, we're going to edit this owner. We're just going to make sure that everything is in here accurately. So they're going to have their name, their mobile phone number, mailing address. We've got their email address, and we're going to make sure that they have a payment method. So we have ACH checking selected for our owner as the payment method, which means that we will pay them by ACH, and they're also going to be able to pay us by ACH. The account that they're going to use to pay us will be this account here. So they can't use a separate account to make a contribution into us. It is going to be this account here, and it will go directly to the operating account that you have chosen. So all of your owners should be in at this point. All of your owners should have updated account information, and all of your owners should have their payment method listed. So while we're here, I do want to take a moment to show you what your owners will see and where they're going to find their contribution options. So we will go ahead and we will log in as owner. So let's do that here. I'm going to log in as owner, and this is what their owner portal looks like. Not a lot of activity here right now, just because I haven't put anything in yet for this month. But the owners will have a few different navigational tabs across the top. The important one for this is their statements. This is where they're going to find owner contributions. So the owner will be able to create a contribution to any property that they own. They'll be able to put in an amount for you, and they'll be able to leave a memo. So this one happens to be for flooring. So go ahead and put flooring in there. They're going to give us $15.50. Once they press the contribution button, it's going to go to your merchant services account, the account that you set up that you receive your rents in, you make your payments out of. That's where this money will end up. It's also going to be reported on the ledger for this property. So once they've confirmed, they've pressed it, the payment will be sent to your merchant account and displayed on that property ledger. Simple as that. So we've got our owners done. Let's go ahead and move on to tenants. We're going to check out this tenant setup. And from this left menu, we'll click on tenants. And the first thing we want to make sure of is that all of our tenants have the necessary information to process a payment. So we're going to click on the tenant menu and we're going to select edit tenant to view their profile. So we'll choose James here. We're going to go ahead and edit him. And we see that he does not have an email address. He doesn't have a portal or a phone number. So he will need his email address. And he's going to need his mobile phone number. So we'll put that in. And we're going to make sure that his portal is enabled. So he'll be able to actually get in here and he'll be able to log in. So in order for the tenant to make a payment, they must have an email address to log into their portal, a phone number, a mailing address, a full mailing address, and a full first and last name. So when they've received this email notification, just lets them know how to get into their portal. They'll be able to log in and they'll be able to go ahead and process that payment. So you will supply them with this password. And if anything happens to that password, the option allows for you to auto-generate a new password and email to the tenant. So no need to write this down, just repeat this process if you happen to lose it or if they happen to lose it. So you want to make sure that you just go ahead and save this information, update this tenant at the bottom so all of this information that we've just put in is saved. If not, this will be erased. Your tenant will get an email, but it will go nowhere. The password won't work because it wasn't saved in the password area. We will go ahead now and we'll log in as our tenant. Just like the owner portal, we will see where these tenants can make their payments. So under the tenant portal, we'll take a look around, familiarize yourself with the menu items, navigation, um, you know, maybe set yourself up as a tenant, make a payment to yourself just to see how that process really works. So we're here on the summary page. We've logged in. We can see balance due, last payment. We've got our navigation to the left. And once the payment account has been set up, you'll actually be able to go in and make a payment. So your tenant is presented with some different options. They need to create a payment account in order to see the different options that are available to them. So they will need to put in their routing number and their account number. So we'll just add a routing account number there. We're going to say, yes, that is factual. So now they've got their account in here. They've got their primary account set. If they click this back button, they will now have those three options. The options available to them are automatic recurring payments, one-time payments, and instant card payments. So they can pay instantly by card. The automatic recurring payments option allows the tenant to set up a payment to autodraft. So that's going to be on a schedule that they choose. The one-time payment allows for the tenant to set up a one-time payment. This will process once on the specific date chosen. However, if they want to continue doing this, they will need to log in to schedule this each billing cycle. And the last option here is the pay instantly by card. If you have set up to accept credit cards and allow the tenant to pay by credit cards, they can go ahead and use this. As you open it up, you're going to see that the amount that they put in calculates here, but they also get this convenience fee calculation. So that lets them know that they are responsible for the convenience fee. They have to agree to pay this along with their rent before they can make a payment. If they roll over this, it just lets them know that the convenience fee that they're paying is what covers those bank charges. And that's that for the tenant portal. It's very simple. You have now set up your online payments. You're ready to start accepting those online payments. Before you do move on, though, here's some steps that you want to make sure that you take once you have received the notification from us that your account is set up. Go in to your tenant page, verify your tenant information is accurate, verify that their portal is enabled, that they will be able to set up their payment information. Like I said, set yourself up as a tenant, schedule a test payment. See how that looks. Inform your tenants. Make sure that their online tenant resource guide has been mailed to them. Check your email, follow up with any resources from us or from Forte. If you need help, you can reach out to Forte. We've got phone and customer service options here for you. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this. But any communication that they've sent you through email should also host this contact information. We've got our need help services as well, so you can call our support staff. We're here and we're available 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can email us and you can call us. You can use that need help button in the bottom right of your screen from any page within Rentec Direct, and you can get a way to help, a way to get in contact with us. So again, I just want to thank you guys for coming to this training today. We really appreciate your time, and we're so glad that we're able to help you out. If you have any questions, concerns, feel free to reach out. Have an amazing week.